It is a random Tuesday night. You are 34 years old, sitting on the couch after the kids are finally asleep, and you are doing something you probably should not be doing, scrolling. One friend from high school is posting family vacation photos from Italy. Another just bought a second home in the mountains. Someone else is celebrating a corporate promotion with a luxury SUV parked in a cobblestone driveway, captioned simply, "Hard work pays off." And suddenly, without warning, that quiet little voice in the back of your head starts whispering, "Wait, am I falling behind?" You are not broke. That is what makes this feeling so incredibly confusing. You make decent money, you pay your bills on time. Your life from the outside looks stable, but when you actually open your banking apps, when that login screen is glowing in your face at midnight and there is nobody left around to impress, it does not feel like you thought it would at this age, because society sold our generation a very specific fantasy about our 30s. This was supposed to be the decade where everything finally clicked. You get the title, buy the house, upgrade the kitchen, and take the nice vacations. You were supposed to finally feel secure. But the brutal math of 2026 tells a completely different story. A shocking number of people in their 30s are quietly financing the appearance of success while feeling exactly one emergency away from absolute panic. And the dangerous part? Most people do not realize they are trapped until an entire decade has already disappeared. It's never one catastrophic decision. It's a series of tiny, invisible trade-offs repeated for years. Slightly higher rent, a slightly nicer car lease, a little more convenient spending. You wake up one day and realize your income went up by 40%, but your margin for error completely disappeared. I study the invisible financial behaviors that separate people who build real wealth from the people who stay trapped, performing stability forever. Today, we are breaking down the 4 specific money milestones that matter most in your 30s, not to impress strangers online, but to become financially difficult to destroy. Milestone 1, the $20,000 survival wall. Most people dramatically underestimate what having zero liquidity actually does to the human brain. When you have nothing saved, every minor inconvenience becomes emotionally amplified. A $1,200 transmission repair isn't just an annoying text from your mechanic. It's a physical weight in your chest. A medical bill feels existential, and slowly, your entire life starts getting organized around avoiding financial pain. You stay in a soul-crushing job you hate because leaving feels dangerous. You tolerate toxic environments because your bank account quietly removed your ability to say no. Researchers studying scarcity consistently find that financial stress consumes massive amounts of cognitive bandwidth. Your brain literally becomes worse at long-term planning when survival pressure stays constantly active. That is why the first real milestone is not investing, it is stabilization. $20,000 is roughly where the math changes. It's where you finally create enough distance between yourself and total financial panic. It's not luxury and it's not freedom. It's just breathing room. But breathing room changes your behavior. You sleep differently. You negotiate salary increments differently. You recover from setbacks without panic. Most people try to skip this milestone because stability feels boring. Nobody gets social status from quietly becoming harder to kill financially. So people rush toward volatile investing before building a defensive foundation. But wealth cannot compound correctly when every minor emergency forces you to liquidate your portfolio and reset your progress back to zero. First, you stop the bleeding, then you build. Milestone 2. The $50,000 flexibility point. This is where the psychology of money starts changing in a way you can physically feel. Because $50,000 is usually the first moment where money stops feeling purely defensive and starts becoming operational optionality. Think about 2 people side by side. Person A hates their job but only has $1,000 in savings. That person is not choosing to stay at their desk. They are financially cornered, an economic hostage to their lifestyle. Now compare that to person B, who has $50,000 liquid and invested. That person can survive a year of uncertainty. They can negotiate harder, walk away from toxic environments, and wait patiently for the right opportunity instead of desperately grabbing the first lifeline thrown to them. Psychologically, you move from a state of, "I hope things work out," to a state of, "I can survive if they do not." At this level, money buys time, it buys patience, and patient people make dramatically better long-term decisions. But beware, this is also the exact coordinate where most people unknowingly sabotage their entire future. Because $50,000 is often the first time the survival panic softens, the background fear quiets down, and the human brain immediately looks for a reward. This is where the traps appear: the luxury car payment, the expensive vacation, the small recurring lifestyle upgrades. Lifestyle inflation slowly sedates you. It cushions you just enough that all your wealth-building momentum quietly disappears, until suddenly you are a person making six figures who still somehow feels completely stuck. Before we hit milestone 3, we need to address a harsh truth. The financial pressure people are quietly carrying in their 30s right now is completely artificial. Housing exploded, insurance exploded, childcare exploded, groceries exploded, and at the exact same historical moment, social media gave every single one of us a front row seat to the top 1% highlight reel of everybody else's life. You are trying to build wealth inside an economic engine specifically designed to make you feel like you are losing the race every single day. If you feel that weight, you are not uniquely failing. You are just playing a game on maximum difficulty. Milestone 3. Destroying toxic debt. Imagine you are trapped in the middle of the ocean, trying to bail water out of a leaking boat. You are moving fast, frantically working a bucket. The water level drops an inch, and you feel hopeful. But there is one structural problem. There is still an unaddressed hole underneath your feet. That is exactly what trying to build wealth while carrying high-interest consumer debt looks like. Your salary numbers might look spectacular on paper, but underneath everything, the math is quietly suffocating your future. A 23% credit card interest rate does not care how disciplined you felt this month. It compounds every single day, silently, while you sleep. And this is what makes consumer debt so psychologically insidious. People adapt to it. They normalize it because the minimum monthly payment technically went through, but the entire time, their future income is being pre-spent before they even earn it. That is what debt really is: borrowed future freedom. Mathematically, eliminating high-interest debt is one of the single best guaranteed financial returns you will ever experience in your lifetime. There is no market volatility. It is immediate structural improvement. The people who build wealth the fastest are rarely the ones earning the absolute most. They are the ones leaking the least. And debt is financial leakage with compound interest weaponized against you. Milestone 4. Building the compounding engine. Once that emergency survival wall is firmly in place and the toxic debt is completely dead, you finally unlock the real machine: consistent, automated investing. And here is the brutal truth about your 30s. The timeline matters infinitely more than the raw amount. A 10-year delay in investing during this decade can quietly cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars later in life. Not because you failed, but because compound interest is brutally dependent on time. And time is the one financial asset that absolutely no amount of grinding can manufacture later. You cannot hustle harder to replace a lost decade. Once that momentum finally starts building, the geometric curve bends faster than your brain expects. The first 50,000 feels completely impossible. The first 100,000 feels surreal. But then, a strange shift happens. Your investments start contributing almost as much annual growth to your net worth as your actual physical labor. That is the moment the entire game changes psychologically. For the first time, your money is no longer sitting still, decaying to inflation. It is working beside you like a silent partner. And the tragedy is, most people never get to experience that feeling because they spent their entire 30s trying to look financially successful instead of actually becoming financially resilient. The people who eventually become truly wealthy and stable in their 40s usually did not experience one giant overnight breakthrough moment. They just quietly built momentum in the dark while nobody else was paying attention. Slow stability isn't visually impressive. It doesn't get views, but financially, it changes absolutely everything. So here is your structural action plan. First, build that survival wall. Automate the transfer the day your paycheck hits. Treat it like non-negotiable rent. Second, destroy toxic debt aggressively. Anything holding an interest rate above roughly 7% deserves your immediate, undivided attention. Third, push toward $50,000 in combined liquid savings and core investments to shift your mindset from defense to options. Fourth, build automatic investing systems and stop relying on human motivation. And finally, stop measuring your very real financial life against someone else's highly curated, heavily subsidized internet performance. You are looking at their highlights. You are not looking at their balance sheets. The people who build real wealth almost always make one specific, quiet decision at some point in their 30s. They stop performing financial success for strangers and they start building financial security for themselves. That shift is quiet. Nobody applauds it, but it is usually the exact milestone where the trajectory of your entire life changes forever. You still have time, more than you think, but the version of you 5 years from now is being built by the decisions you choose to normalize today, not someday, today. So I am curious, which of these 4 milestones do you think most people pretend they have already reached? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'll see you there, and I will see you in the next one.